You know what the problem with conquering Earth was? Well, let me tell you, it was not the plasma cannons, it was not the orbital bombardments, it was not even the fact that our glorious Thexian Empire had never ever in 3,000 years of expansion across 47 star systems lost a single campaign. No, no, no. The problem was that we actually thought we were winning. My name is Krell, Commander Krell of the 7th Fleet. If you want to get formal about it, and before you ask, yes, I survived. Obviously. How else would I be telling you this story? But let me be clear about something right from the start. Surviving does not mean I won. It does not mean my species won. It just means I was smart enough, or maybe cowardly enough, to recognize when the entire universe had flipped upside down and started laughing at us. But I am getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to day 143 of the Earth campaign. That is what we called it, by the way. A campaign. Like it was just another Tuesday for the Empire, another primitive world to add to our collection, another species to either subjugate or eliminate depending on how annoying they turned out to be. Humans, we decided early on, were definitely in the annoying category. I was standing on the bridge of the dreadnought Vorshak, watching the tactical display with what I thought was well-deserved satisfaction. 3 months of steady progress. 12 major human cities turned to rubble. Their militaries scattered across 6 continents, their navies at the bottom of their oceans, their air forces, well, let us just say they learned very quickly that their jets were adorable when compared to our fighters. Commander. My second officer, a young female named Tessa, clicked her mandibles together nervously. The human resistance in what they call North America is requesting another ceasefire. I laughed. Actually laughed. Another one? That is the 3rd time this month. Yes, sir. They claim they need time to, and I quote, discuss terms of conditional surrender. Conditional. I turned to look at her, my 4 eyes blinking in sequence. Tell them the only condition is unconditional. We are not in the business of negotiating with primitives. Tessa hesitated. Now, here is something you need to understand about Tessa. She was brilliant, top of her class at the Imperial War Academy. Tactical genius. Could calculate orbital trajectories in her head while simultaneously coordinating 3 battle groups. But she had this annoying habit of overthinking things. Commander, if I may, the humans have been unusually persistent. Their casualty rates are devastating, and yet they keep fighting. Perhaps we should consider why they keep asking for ceasefires. Because they are losing, Tessa. Badly. Obviously. Yes, sir, but nothing. Send the rejection. Tell them they have 6 hours to evacuate the next target city. I am feeling generous today. That was my first mistake. The generosity part. I mean, in war, generosity gets mistaken for weakness. But honestly, that was not even in my top 10 mistakes during the Earth campaign. Not even close. The real mistakes were still coming. Target city number 13 was a place the humans called Seattle. Coastal settlement, major shipping port, about 4 million inhabitants. Standard procedure dictated we give them warning, let the civilians flee, then reduce the infrastructure to atoms. Clean, efficient. Sends a message to the rest of the planet. Except Seattle did not evacuate. Sir, Tessa reported, her voice tight with confusion. Thermal scans show the city population has actually increased. Civilians are moving in, not out. That makes no sense. Run the scan again. Already did, sir. 3 times. The numbers are accurate. Seattle current population is approximately 6.2 million and rising. I stared at the display. This was new. Every other city had emptied within hours of our warnings. The humans were irritating, sure, but they were not stupid. They knew what our weapons could do. Are they insane? I muttered. Unclear, sir, but they are broadcasting something. Audio only. Should I put it through? Fine. Yes. Let us hear what madness they are spewing now. The voice that came through our communications array was male. Human male. Deep. Calm. Almost bored sounding. This is Captain Marcus Webb of the United Earth Defense Force, speaking to the Thexian fleet currently in orbit. We have received your warning regarding Seattle. We have reviewed your demands, and we have a counter-offer. I snorted. A counter-offer. How delightful. Go ahead, Captain Webb. Entertain us. There was a pause. Then, leave. Now, pack up your ships. Go back to whatever hole in space you crawled out of, and never come back. You have 6 hours. The bridge went silent, completely, utterly silent. Even the background hum of the ship's systems seemed to quiet down, as if the Vorchik itself was too shocked to function properly. Then everyone started laughing. I mean, what else could we do? This primitive, this insect, had just threatened us. The Thaxian Empire, the conquerors of 47 worlds, the species that had turned an entire solar system into a mining operation just because we could. Oh, that is rich, I managed between laughs. That is absolutely precious. Tessa, please send our response. Tell Captain Webb that we appreciate his humor, but our offer stands. Evacuate or die. His choice. Yes, sir. The laughter continued for a good minute. Even our normally stoic weapons officer, a male named Grant, was wheezing with amusement. It felt good. We had been at this campaign for months, and while it was going well, the humans had managed to make it more difficult than expected. A good laugh was exactly what we needed. The response came back within seconds. This is Captain Webb. Since you have declined our generous offer, I am authorized to inform you that Earth is formally changing its rules of engagement. What you have experienced over the past 3 months was humanity operating under the conventions of armed conflict. As of now, those conventions are suspended. You wanted a war. Congratulations, you are about to get one. The laughter died. Sir, Tessa said quietly, what do you think he means by that? Psychological warfare. Trying to make us hesitate. Standard desperation tactics. But even as I said it, something cold was creeping up my spine, some instinct, some tiny voice in the back of my mind was screaming that I was missing something important. I ignored it. Second mistake. All ships, prepare to fire on Seattle. Full bombardment pattern. I want that city gone in the next... Sir, contacts. Multiple contacts emerging from the ocean. I spun to the tactical display. What I saw made no sense. Dozens of signatures, maybe hundreds, rising from the Pacific Ocean at speeds that should have been impossible for human technology. What am I looking at, Tessa? Unknown, sir. They are too small to be ships, too large to be missiles. Configuration does not match anything in our database of human military assets. The signatures accelerated, straight up, straight at us. Evasive maneuvers. All ships. Scatter formation. Point defense systems to full active. The Vorshak lurched as the helmsman threw us into a hard turn. Around us, the rest of the 7th Fleet was doing the same, breaking the perfect orbital formation we had maintained for months. The first contact reached weapons range, and our point defense opened up. Plasma bolts. Thousands of them filled the space around our fleet. It was like watching a storm of purple lightning. Nothing could survive that kind of defensive fire, nothing, except these things did. They wove through the plasma bolts like they were dancing, spinning, rolling, accelerating and decelerating in patterns that should have liquefied any organic pilot. Our targeting computers could not keep up. Every bolt missed. Every single one. What are those things? I shouted. Sir, I am getting electromagnetic signatures consistent with human power systems, but the output levels are impossible. Nothing that small should be able to generate that much energy. The first one hit the destroyer Kelvas. I watched it happen in slow motion, even though the entire event took maybe 3 seconds. The contact, whatever it was, slammed into the Kelvas hull at a speed that should have vaporized it on impact. Instead, there was a flash of white light, a sound that our sensors translated as a thunderclap, and then the Kelvas just split in half. 700 meters of Thaxian warship, equipped with triple-layered shields and armor plating that could withstand a direct hit from a tactical nuke, split down the middle like someone had taken a giant axe to it. Report. I was gripping my command chair so hard my claws were leaving marks in the metal. Kelvas is gone, sir. Total loss. No survivors. The contact that hit it has already moved on. It is heading for the cruiser Dentex now. All ships! Concentrate fire on those contacts. I do not care how many shots it takes. Burn them out of space. The fleet responded. Every ship in the 7th Fleet opened fire simultaneously. The amount of firepower we unleashed would have been enough to glass a small moon, enough to turn an asteroid field into dust, enough to make a star flicker. We destroyed 6 of them. 6. Out of what we were now counting as 417 contacts. and 411 of them were very, very angry. What followed was not a battle. Battles have two sides fighting. Battles have strategy, tactics, maneuvers. What followed was a slaughter, and we were not the ones doing the slaughtering. Those things, those impossible human machines, tore through our fleet like we were made of paper. Ships that had survived battles across dozens of star systems, ships that had reduced planets to cinders, ships that represented the pinnacle of Thaxian military engineering, were being destroyed faster than I could count them. Sir, the Dantex is gone. The Mortax is reporting critical damage. The Zelkar has lost main power. Retreat, all ships emergency jump to rally point Gamma. Now. Sir, we cannot just leave. Now Tessa, get us out of here before we join them. The Vorshak's jump drive spun up with a whine that sounded almost panicked. Around us, what was left of the 7th Fleet was doing the same. Out of 38 ships that had entered Earth's orbit that morning, I counted maybe 19 powering up their drives. The rest were debris. As the jump field began to form around us, I looked one last time at the tactical display. Those human machines were not pursuing. They were just hovering there, in perfect formation, exactly where they had stopped their attack, waiting. And then we jumped. The rally point was 3 light-years away, in an empty system we had used for regrouping during the campaign. It was supposed to be safe. Far enough from Earth that the humans could not possibly reach us. Close enough that we could plan our next move. We materialized into chaos. Ships were scattered across the system, many of them trailing atmosphere and debris. Damage control teams were working frantically. Communication channels were flooded with damage reports, casualty counts, requests for assistance. I sat in my command chair and tried to process what had just happened. In less than 20 minutes, the Thaxian Empire had lost half of the 7th Fleet. Not to another empire. Not to some advanced alien civilization with superior technology. To humans, the same humans whose cities we had been reducing to rubble for 3 months. The same humans who flew around in chemical-fueled rockets and still used kinetic weapons. Commander, Tessa said quietly, Fleet Admiral Corvin is hailing us. Oh good, my superior officer. This conversation was going to be fun. Admiral Corvin's face appeared on my screen. He looked like he had aged a decade in the past hour. All 4 of his eyes were bloodshot, his mandibles were clicking in an agitated pattern, and his crest feathers were standing straight up in a stress display. Real. Report. Sir, we were engaged by unknown human forces, small craft. Extremely fast. Extremely deadly. Casualties were severe. I ordered an emergency retreat to preserve what remained of the fleet. Small craft. You are telling me that humanity, a species that barely has fusion power, just destroyed 19 Thaxian warships with small craft? Yes, sir. And you have no idea what these craft were? No intelligence? No warning? None, sir. They emerged from the ocean without any prior detection. Our sensors never picked them up until they were already launching. Corvan was quiet for a long moment. Then, you said the human captain, this Webb mentioned something about changing their rules of engagement. Yes, sir. He said they had been operating under some kind of conventions, and that those conventions were now suspended. Conventions. Corvan's laugh was bitter. We have been fighting them for 3 months, Krell. 3 months of orbital strikes, 3 months of destroying their cities, 3 months of killing millions of them, and they were holding back. That appears to be the case, sir. That is impossible. We have seen their military capabilities. We have analyzed their technology. There is no way they were holding anything back. This must be something new, something they just developed. But even as he said it, I could see in his eyes that he did not believe it. And neither did I. You do not just develop technology like what we had seen. Not in 3 months. Not in 3 years. Maybe not in 3 centuries. Which meant it had always been there. Which meant they had always been capable of doing what they just did. Which meant every city we had destroyed, every life we had taken, every victory we had celebrated, had happened because they let it happen. The cold feeling in my spine turned into a full-body chill. Sir, I said carefully, I recommend we open communication with Earth, immediately. Accept their terms, whatever they are. Absolutely not. The Thaxian Empire does not surrender, Commander, especially not to primitives. We will call in the 2nd and 5th Fleets. overwhelm them with numbers. These new weapons of theirs, whatever they are, cannot be infinite. Sir, with respect, I do not think. Your thoughts are noted and dismissed. We attack again in 48 hours. Prepare your ships. Corvin out. The screen went dark. Tessa was looking at me. Commander, do you really think reinforcements will make a difference? I thought about those machines, dancing through our defensive fire like it was not even there. I thought about the Calvas, split in half like it was made of wood instead of advanced alloys. I thought about Captain Webb's voice, calm and almost bored, delivering what I now realized was not a threat but a warning. No, I said honestly. No, I do not think it will make a difference at all. Then what do we do? That was the question, was it not? What do you do when you realize you have been fighting someone who was not actually fighting back? What do you do when you realize that every advantage you thought you had was an illusion? What do you do when you realize that you have made a terrible, catastrophic mistake? We survive, Tessa. If we can, that is all we can do now. The 48 hours passed too quickly. The 2nd and 5th fleets arrived right on schedule, adding another 73 ships to our forces. Admiral Corvin held a fleet-wide briefing, talking about Thaxian superiority and the importance of showing these humans that their tricks would not save them. I did not pay much attention. I was too busy reviewing the sensor data from our last encounter, trying to find something, anything, that would give us an edge. I found nothing useful, but I did find something interesting. The machines had not been trying to destroy us completely. They could have easily. I ran the calculations a dozen times. If those things had pressed their attack instead of stopping when they did, none of us would have escaped. Not one ship. They had let us go. Another warning. All ships, form up. We are going back to Earth, and this time we are not leaving until that planet is ours. Admiral Corvin sounded confident on the fleet-wide channel. I wanted to tell him he was an idiot. I wanted to tell him that we were about to get everyone killed. I wanted to tell him that pride was a luxury we could no longer afford. I said nothing. We jumped. Earth orbit looked different. Where before we had seen a blue-green planet with scattered military installations and defensive satellites, we now saw something else. The entire planet was surrounded by a network of platforms, hundreds of them, maybe thousands, all of them bristling with weapons that our sensors could not quite identify. And floating in front of this network, in perfect formation, were those machines from before. Except now there were not 400 of them. There were 40,000. Oh, Tessa said quietly. Oh no. Admiral Corvin's voice came over the fleet channel, but it had lost its confidence. All ships, battle formation Delta, prepare to engage. I opened a private channel to him. Sir, we need to withdraw. Now. This is not a fight we can win. Noted, Commander. Hold formation. The machines did not move. They just waited. Like they had all the time in the universe. Like they knew exactly how this was going to end. A new voice came over our communications. Captain Webb again. Thaxian Fleet. This is your final warning. Leave now, or we will show you what humanity looks like when we are actually trying. You have 60 seconds to begin your retreat. After that we stop being nice. Being nice. He called what happened 2 days ago being nice. Sir, I said urgently to Corvin, please, we have to go. The Empire does not run from... The Empire is about to lose 3 entire fleets if we do not run right now. But it was too late. The 60 seconds were up. What happened next was not war. It was not even a massacre. It was an education. A very painful, very thorough education in just how far out of our depth we really were. The machines moved as one, 40,000 of them acting like a single organism. Our computers could not track them. Our weapons could not hit them. Our shields might as well have been made of tissue paper. Ships began dying, not one at a time like before, but in groups, squadrons. Entire battle groups just ceased to exist in explosions of light and metal and screaming comms traffic. I watched Admiral Corvin's flagship, the Dreadnought Imperator, the pride of the Thaxian fleet, get hit by 3 of those machines simultaneously. The ship simply disintegrated. No explosion, no fire, it just came apart at the molecular level and turned into a cloud of atoms. Emergency jump, I screamed. All ships, emergency jump, scatter pattern. Go, go, go. The Vorshak jumped. When we came out on the other side in a random system light years from Earth, I did a quick count of the ships that had made it out. 7. 7 ships out of 130. The Thexian Empire had just lost over 90% of 3 fleets in less than 10 minutes. And somewhere on Earth I was certain Captain Webb was not even celebrating. He was probably just going back to whatever he had been doing before we showed up and rudely interrupted his day. I sat in my command chair and laughed. Because what else could I do? We had come to conquer Earth. We had thought we were winning. We had thought we were fighting a primitive species that was barely holding on. And all this time they had been playing with us. Like a cat plays with a mouse before it gets bored. The war was over. We just had not realized it until now, but there was more. So much more, because what came next made everything that had happened so far look like a minor disagreement. The humans were not done teaching us lessons. Not even close. So there we were, 7 ships, 7 pathetic, limping, barely functional ships out of 130 of the finest warships the Thexian Empire had ever built, floating in some random system that our navigation computers had picked during our panicked escape from Earth. I should mention that when I say barely functional, I mean it. The Vorshak had taken damage during our exit jump. Nothing critical, but enough that half our systems were throwing error messages, and our engineer, a nervous male named Plix, was running around like his tail was on fire trying to keep us from falling apart. "Commander," Tessa said, breaking the silence that had fallen over the bridge like a funeral shroud, "we are receiving distress signals from the other surviving ships. They are requesting orders." Orders. Right. Because I was suddenly in command of what remained of 3 fleets. Admiral Corvin was dead. His second was dead. Most of the command structure was dead, which left me a mid-level commander who had spent most of his career filing reports and managing supply chains, in charge of the biggest military disaster in Thexian history. Perfect. Just perfect. Tell them to hold position. Run full diagnostics. Get me damage reports from every ship, and someone find out if we still have any functional long-range communications. We need to contact the home world. Yes, sir. I leaned back in my command chair and closed my eyes. Behind my eyelids, I could still see those machines, 40,000 of them moving in perfect synchronization. The way they had torn through our ships like we were made of cardboard. The casual, almost effortless way they had ended over a century of Thexian military dominance. And Captain Webb's voice, calm, bored, warning us. We stopped being nice. That had been them being nice. I started laughing again. Quietly at first, then louder. I could not help it. The absurdity of the entire situation was just too much. We had invaded their planet, killed millions of them, destroyed their cities, acted like we were doing them a favor by allowing some of them to surrender, and they had been holding back the entire time. "Sir?" Tessa was looking at me with concern. "Are you all right?" "No, Tessa. No, I am not all right. None of us are all right. We just learned that everything we thought we knew about humanity was completely, catastrophically wrong. And now we have to go home and explain to the High Council how we managed to lose 3 fleets to a species that we classified as barely spacefaring. What do you think they will do?" "Oh, I know exactly what they will do. They will blame us for the failure. Court-martial anyone who survived. Probably execute a few officers as examples. Then they will send more fleets because the High Council has never met a problem they did not think could be solved by throwing more ships at it. But that will not work, will it?" I opened my eyes and looked at her. Really looked at her. Tessa was young. She had her whole career ahead of her. Or she had before this disaster. Now she would be lucky if she was not executed for surviving when so many others had died. "No, it will not work. Those machines we saw, I would bet my entire career, not that it is worth much anymore, that Earth has millions of them. Maybe billions. They showed us 40,000 just to make a point, just to let us know that resistance is futile. Then what do? We tell the truth. We show them the sensor data. We explain exactly what happened. And we pray that someone on the High Council has more brains than pride and decides to cut our losses before humanity decides to stop playing defense and goes on offense." Tessa's mandibles clicked nervously. "You think they would attack us? Come to our worlds?" "Tessa, if what we just saw is them being nice, I really do not want to find out what they are like when they are being mean." The communications officer, a female named Vexa, turned from her station. "Sir, I have established contact with Homeworld. The High Council is requesting an immediate report." Of course they were. "Put them through." The main screen flickered to life, showing the council chamber on our homeworld of Thexia. 12 members of the High Council sat in their elevated seats, looking down at me with expressions that ranged from curious to outright hostile. High Councilor Drex, the eldest and most powerful of them, spoke first. His voice was like gravel grinding together. "Commander Krell, we received automated distress signals from the 2nd, 5th, and 7th Fleets. The signals then stopped." "Explain." "No greeting, no pleasantries, just straight to business." "Typical." "High Councilor, I regret to inform you that the Earth campaign has suffered catastrophic losses. Of the 130 ships that engaged human forces approximately 6 hours ago, only 7 survived. Total casualties are estimated at over 95,000 personnel." The silence in the council chamber was absolute. I watched as the information sank in. Some of the councilors looked shocked, others angry. Drex just looked at me with his cold, calculating eyes. "That is impossible," one of the younger councilors finally said. "Humans do not have the technology to destroy 3 fleets. Our intelligence reports indicated they were barely capable of orbital defense." "Your intelligence reports were wrong, Councilor. Catastrophically wrong." "Watch your tone, Commander," Drex growled. "You are addressing the High Council." "With respect, High Councilor, my tone is the least of our problems right now. We invaded Earth thinking we were fighting primitives. We were wrong. The humans have weapons technology far beyond our current capabilities. They have been holding back for the entire campaign, and when we refused their warnings to leave, they stopped holding back." "Holding back?" Another councilor leaned forward. "You expect us to believe that humanity intentionally allowed us to destroy their cities and kill millions of their people?" "I do not care what you believe, Councilor. I am telling you what happened. We engaged human forces twice. The first time, they destroyed half the 7th Fleet in under 20 minutes. The second time, they destroyed over 90% of 3 combined fleets in under 10 minutes. Our weapons were ineffective. Our tactics were useless. Our shields might as well not have existed. I pulled up the sensor data and transmitted it to the council. See for yourselves." The councilors watched in silence as the recordings played. I saw their expressions change as they witnessed what I had witnessed. The machines, the slaughter, the casual, effortless way humanity had swatted aside the pride of the Thexian military. When it finished, Drex was the first to speak. "This must be fabricated. No species hides this level of technology while allowing themselves to be invaded. And yet they did. High Councilor, I believe humanity has been testing us, seeing what we would do, how far we would go. And now that they have their answer, I believe we are in serious danger." "Danger? From humans?" Drex laughed, but it sounded forced. "Commander, you have lost your nerve. What we are seeing is clearly some new weapon system they recently developed, probably with help from another species. We simply need to adjust our tactics." "No, you are not listening. This was not new technology. Those machines moved with a level of coordination that requires years of development and training. The network of platforms surrounding Earth was not built in 3 months. The humans knew exactly what they were doing. They have been planning for something like this, for an invasion, for contact, for war, for whatever might come when they finally met other species, and they prepared for it by building weapons that could stop anything, including us." Another councilor spoke up. This one was female, younger than Drex, but clearly influential. Her name was Sala. "Commander, even if we accept your assessment, what do you propose we do? The Empire cannot simply walk away from a failed campaign. It would show weakness to our other subjugated species. Then we negotiate, we offer terms, we make peace. The Thexian Empire does not make peace with primitives. The Thexian Empire is about to cease to exist if we do not swallow our pride and recognize reality." I was shouting now. Probably a career-ending move, yelling at the High Council. But honestly, I was past caring. We lost over 100 ships in a matter of hours. 100 ships. Do you understand what that means? If humanity decides to retaliate, if they decide to come to our worlds with those machines, we have nothing that can stop them. "That is enough, Commander," Drex said coldly. You are clearly suffering from combat stress. You are relieved of command. Effective immediately. Return to homeworld for debriefing and psychiatric evaluation. I laughed. Again with the laughing. I was doing that a lot lately. You can relieve me all you want, High Counselor, but it will not change the facts. Humanity is more powerful than us. They have been more powerful this entire time, and now they know that we know. We will send the 4th and 8th fleets to. You will send them to their deaths. Commander Krell, you are dangerously close to being charged with treason. Charge me then, execute me if it makes you feel better. But listen to what I am telling you first. We cannot win this war, we never could. The only question now is whether we end it on our terms or on theirs. Drex was about to respond when Vexa interrupted. Sir, we are receiving a transmission from Earth. The entire council chamber went quiet. Put it through, Drex ordered. Captain Webb's face appeared on the screen. He looked exactly as I had imagined him. Human, male, maybe 40 cycles old by their reckoning. Short dark hair, eyes that looked tired but alert. He was wearing some kind of military uniform, but it was not decorated with the medals and insignia that Thexian officers loved to display. Simple, practical. The Thexian High Council. My name is Captain Marcus Webb. I am speaking on behalf of the United Earth Defense Force and the combined governments of Earth. I have a message for you. Drex leaned forward. Human, you have committed acts of war against the Thexian Empire. Surrender your weapons technology immediately and prepare for occupation, or face complete annihilation. Webb looked at Drex for a long moment, then he smiled. It was not a friendly smile. No. See, that is not how this is going to work. You invaded our world. You killed our people. You destroyed our cities. You were warned multiple times. You chose to ignore those warnings. So now, let me make our position very clear. Webb pressed something off screen, and the view changed. It showed space. But not just any space. It showed the Thexian home system. Our home system, with Earth ships in it. Hundreds of them surrounding our homeworld. What you are seeing is a live feed, Webb continued. Those ships arrived approximately 30 minutes ago. They are armed with the same weapons you encountered at Earth. They are currently targeting every major population center on Thexia, every industrial facility, every military installation. If I give the order, your homeworld will cease to exist in approximately 7 minutes. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Councilors were shouting. Some were demanding we fire on the human ships immediately. Others were calling for evacuation. Drex just sat there staring at the screen with an expression I had never seen on his face before. Fear. How? He whispered. How did you get ships to our system? It is over 40 light years from Earth. Your technology cannot what? Cannot do faster than light travel. Cannot build ships capable of crossing interstellar distances in hours instead of weeks. Cannot produce enough force to threaten an empire that spans 47 star systems. Webb leaned closer to the camera. High Counselor, you have made the same mistake that conquerors have been making for thousands of years. You assumed that because you did not see our capabilities, they did not exist. You assumed that because we were not expanding across the stars, we were not capable of it. You assumed that because we asked for peace, we needed peace. You are bluffing, Drex said, but his voice lacked conviction. You would not destroy an entire planet. You destroyed Seattle, or tried to. You destroyed Paris. You destroyed Cairo, Mumbai, Sydney, and 15 other cities. You killed 23 million human beings. So yes, High Counselor, I absolutely would destroy your planet, but I would prefer not to, because unlike you, we actually mean it when we talk about preferring peace. Webb sat back. Here are our terms. You will withdraw all Thexian forces from Earth and surrounding space immediately. You will release all human prisoners. You will provide full restitution for the damage you have caused, including technology transfers and resources. You will submit to a complete demilitarization of your offensive fleet, keeping only defensive forces, and you will sign a non-aggression treaty that includes protocols for verification and inspection. That is surrender, Sala said quietly. Yes, it is. Complete and total surrender. The alternative is we demonstrate to you and to every other species in this region of space Exactly what humanity is capable of when we stop holding back, and trust me when I tell you, counselor, what you saw at Earth was us being gentle. We have weapons you cannot even imagine. Technologies that would make your best scientist weep. We have had these things for decades. We just chose not to use them because we believed in giving peace a chance. Why? I found myself asking. Why hold back? Why let us invade? Why let us kill your people? Webb looked directly at me. For a moment I felt like he could see right through me. Through my ship, through space itself. Because, Commander, we needed to know if there was any species out there that we could reason with. Any species that would accept diplomatic solutions. Any species that would choose peace when given the option. For 50 years, since we first developed faster-than-light travel, we have been watching, waiting, hoping that when we finally made contact it would be peaceful. He paused. You proved us wrong. You and the 17 other species we have encountered over the past decades. Every single one of you chose conquest over cooperation. Every single one of you saw our restraint as weakness. Every single one of you killed our people and thought you could get away with it. 17? Drex looked like he was going to be sick. You have encountered 17 other species? Had past tense. 12 of them accepted surrender terms similar to what I am offering you. They were peacefully demilitarized and are now monitored to prevent future aggression. The other 5 refused. They no longer exist. The temperature in the council chamber seemed to drop by several degrees. You are monsters, one of the counselors whispered. No, Webb said firmly. We are humans. We are capable of great compassion and great cruelty. We are capable of building beautiful things and destroying them. We are capable of offering peace and waging total war. What we are not capable of, what we will never tolerate, is being conquered. We did not claw our way up from primitive survivors to masters of our world just to bow down to aliens who think they are better than us. Webb stood up. You have 24 hours to accept our terms. If you refuse, or if you attempt any military action against our forces, we will consider it an act of continued aggression, and we will respond accordingly. Captain Webb out. The transmission ended. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Nobody moved. We all just sat there, processing what we had just learned. Humanity was not just more advanced than us. They were more advanced than everyone. They had been playing a galactic game of chess while the rest of us were still learning how to count. And we had just lost. Drex finally spoke, and his voice was hollow. Commander Krell, you are reinstated. Transmit our acceptance of Earth's terms. All of them. High Counselor, the other counselors need to vote. There will be no vote. Drex slammed his hand on his desk. We are accepting their terms because the alternative is extinction. Is that clear enough? Murmurs of agreement came from the other counselors. Even the most militant among them could read the situation. Humanity had us by the throat. We could submit and live, or resist and die. Those were the only options. It will be done, High Counselor, I said quietly. One more thing, Krell. You were right. About all of it. I should have listened. The Council should have listened. We let our pride blind us to reality. That failure cost over 95,000 lives. That blood is on our hands. It was the closest thing to an apology I had ever heard from a High Counselor. Yes, sir. For what it is worth, I think we all share that blame. Perhaps. Drex out. The screen went dark. Tessa was looking at me. What happens now, Commander? Now we do exactly what they tell us to do. We surrender. We accept their terms. We go home and we rebuild. And we never ever make the mistake of underestimating humanity again. Do you think they will really let us live? After everything we did, I thought about Captain Webb's face, the tiredness in his eyes, the way he had offered us peace even after we had killed millions of his people, the fact that he could have destroyed our homeworld but chose not to. Yes, I think they will, because that is what makes them different from us. We would have wiped them out without a second thought, but they actually mean it when they talk about preferring peace. They just have the power to enforce it now. The journey back to Thethaxia took 3 weeks. 3 weeks of processing what had happened. 3 weeks of writing reports. 3 weeks of trying to explain to myself how we had gotten everything so completely wrong. When we finally arrived at our homeworld, the human ships were still there, still in orbit, still watching. a constant reminder of our defeat. The surrender ceremony was held in the Grand Hall, broadcast across all 47 Thexian worlds. Drek signed the documents. So did the leaders of our military. So did I, as the ranking survivor of the Earth campaign. Captain Webb was there in person. He shook Drex's hand. A human gesture, we learned. A sign of respect between equals. Equals. That was the interesting part. Webb did not treat us like conquered enemies. He treated us like children who had done something very stupid and were now being taught a better way. It was almost insulting. Almost. But it was also effective. The technology transfers began immediately. Human engineers arrived to help us convert our military-industrial complex to peaceful purposes. Human scientists shared advances in medicine, agriculture, energy production. Human diplomats taught us about this thing they called the Coalition, a peaceful alliance of species working together for mutual benefit. All the species they had defeated and then helped rebuild. I was assigned as a liaison to the Human Oversight Committee. It meant I got to work directly with Webb and his team. Over the months that followed, I learned a lot about humanity, about their history, their wars, their struggles, how they had almost destroyed themselves dozens of times before finally figuring out how to work together. One day, about 6 months after the surrender, I was having what humans called coffee with Webb in a small cafe near the Thexian capital. He had developed a taste for our local beverages, and I had developed a tolerance for the bitter human drink. "Can I ask you something?" I said. "Sure. Why did you really hold back? The real reason, not the official one about testing us." Webb smiled. "You want the truth? Please." We were terrified. For 50 years we had been exploring the galaxy in secret, and every species we found was like you. Aggressive, expansionist, ready to kill for resources or territory or just because they could. We started to think that maybe we were the anomaly. Maybe violence was the default state of intelligent life. So you what? Decided to prove it? We decided to hope for better. Every time we made contact, we tried diplomacy first. We offered peace. We showed restraint. We wanted so badly to find someone who would choose cooperation over conquest. Someone who would prove that we were not alone in wanting a better universe. But you never found them. No, we never did. Every species we encountered chose war. And every time we had to make the choice. Let them hurt us or stop them. For a while we chose to let them hurt us. To give them every chance to change their minds, to see if compassion would inspire compassion. It did not work. No, it did not. People like you, species like yours, you see compassion as weakness. You see restraint as inability. You do not understand that choosing not to fight is different from being unable to fight. So we had to teach you, had to show you, had to make it very clear that our choice to be peaceful was exactly that. A choice. One we could unmake anytime we wanted. I sipped my coffee. It was still terrible. You hate us? For what we did? Webb was quiet for a moment. No. I pity you. You had a chance to be better. To be more than just another aggressive species carving out territory in the galaxy. You could have been partners. Friends. Instead you chose to be conquerors. And now you will never know what you could have been. We are being taught, I pointed out, your coalition, your systems, your ways. True, and maybe in a few generations, your people will genuinely embrace peace. Maybe you will become true members of the coalition instead of just monitored probationers. But you, Krell, your generation, you will always know that you were forced into it, that you did not choose this path, that if you had the power, some of you would go right back to conquering. He was right. I could see it in the eyes of some of my fellow Thexians, the resentment, the anger, the desire for revenge that they could never act on because humanity was always watching. So what happens to us? I asked. Long term, that depends on you, on your choices. Humanity does not want to be your masters. We want you to govern yourselves, live your lives, pursue your own goals. We just want to make sure those goals do not include invading other species or building weapons of mass destruction. Follow the rules, contribute to the coalition, and in time the restrictions will ease. Break the rules, and we will enforce them. It is that simple. And if we refuse, if we rebel, Webb looked at me with those tired eyes. Then we stop being nice. Again, And this time we will not offer a second chance. I believed him. The war had ended when the humans stopped holding back. When Captain Webb and his species had decided that enough was enough, that compassion had its limits, that peace could only be offered so many times before it had to be enforced. We had thought we were conquering Earth. We had thought we were winning. We had thought humans were primitives who would fold under our superior technology and tactics. We were wrong about everything. And now we live in a universe where humanity holds the leash, where the species we thought was weak turned out to be the strongest, where the beings we thought were primitive turned out to be ancient in their wisdom and terrible in their power. Some of my people hate it. Hate them. Hate the fact that we are no longer masters of our own destiny. I am not one of them. Because I was there, I saw what happened when humanity stopped holding back. I saw what they could do, what they chose not to do. The mercy they showed even when we did not deserve it. And I know with absolute certainty that we got off easy. The Thaxian Empire is gone. In its place is a peaceful member state of the Coalition, working with humans and the other reformed species to build something better. Something that does not require conquest or subjugation or war. Is it perfect? No. Do some Thaxians chafe under the restrictions? Yes. Do I sometimes wonder what might have happened if we had chosen differently? Of course. But then I remember those machines. 40,000 of them, dancing through space. The casual ease with which they destroyed our fleets, Captain Webb's voice, offering us one last chance to choose peace. And I am grateful. Grateful that humanity decided to hold back as long as they did. Grateful that they offered surrender instead of annihilation. Grateful that they chose to teach instead of destroy. Because in the end, the war did not end when we surrendered. It ended when we realized that we had never really been fighting at all. We had been taking a test of character, a test of wisdom, a test of whether we could recognize when we were beaten and choose to change. We failed that test, miserably, but humanity gave us a chance to retake it, to learn from our mistakes, to become better. Some species did not get that chance. 5 of them, gone. Wiped out because they refused to learn. We were lucky. And I, for one, have no intention of wasting that luck. My name is Krell, former commander of the 7th Fleet, current liaison to the Human Oversight Committee, and I am living proof that sometimes losing a war is the best thing that can happen to you. Because the war ended when the humans stopped holding back, and we are all still here to talk about it. That alone should tell you everything you need to know about humanity. They could have destroyed us. They chose not to. They could have enslaved us. They chose not to. They could have made an example of us. They chose not to. Instead, they chose to give us a future, a better one than we deserved, a chance to be more than we were. That is the true power of humanity, not their weapons, not their technology, not their ships, or their machines, or their ability to wage war. Their power is in their choice, their ability to choose mercy over vengeance, peace over victory, cooperation over domination, and that is a power we never had. But maybe, just maybe, we can learn it. If we are smart enough to listen, if we are wise enough to change, if we are humble enough to accept that we were wrong, the war is over. Humanity won, not by destroying us, but by making us better. And in a strange way, we won too. We won a future we would never have had otherwise. We won a chance to be part of something greater than ourselves. We won the opportunity to learn what it means to be truly civilized. All we had to do was surrender everything we thought we knew, everything we thought we were, everything we thought we wanted. A small price to pay, in the end. So here is to humanity, the species that conquered the galaxy by refusing to conquer it, the beings who won the war by choosing not to fight it, the people who saved us by defeating us. May we be worthy of the gift they gave us. May we learn the lessons they taught us. And may we never, ever make them regret their mercy. Because if we do, I have no doubt they will stop being nice again. And none of us will survive at this time.